G'day. We're here on Lake Minnetonka, not far from the home of Tonka Toys, where famous, all the children in North America always wanted a Tonka toy. And here, Jim Amodt, who's with me here today, is involved in playing his toys are Kermath engines. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jim Amodt, and here's an overview of some of the engines that we are involved with today.
Thank you, Rich. Just a brief introduction to Kermath Engine Company. It was started by James Kermaths actually in 1905 or 06 as a machine shop. At one time he even built the Kermath car, and I don't know whether they built one or two of them, but that was not successful. But he found out and did research and wanted to get in the marine engine business, and in 1910 he formed a company to build marine engines, and he formed it on the basis that the most popular engine that was needed was approximately a 12-horse, 4-cylinder, super reliable engine. So one of the first Kermath engines ever built was identical to this. This happens to be a 1918 version, which has picked up the generator and electric starter, which the first one did not have. But this is a good running example of what Kermath started with. After that, they started widening their range of what they built, and shortly after 1910, and a few of these may have been built experimentally earlier before that, as early as 1908. This is an 8-horsepower 2-cylinder, definitely the older style. From that, we go to what they're probably the most famous for. They did build a complete line of flathead engines, 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders, but the marvel of the time was 1926 when they came out with the Kermath, what they called the O series, which stood for overhead valves. And this is a 2-year later model in 1928, which was just removed from a boat in its original condition, and it's never been overhauled, and it's an excellent engine to show what it was to begin with. We've taken the starter and the generator off. But this is what's later called the Seawolf, but the Seawolf was really one model of many models that basically consisted of the overhead cam, the overhead 4 valves per cylinder, and this particular block and arrangement. One of the later models of Kermath would be during the economy years, which was the Depression, and that would be the 4-cylinder we have up here, and that engine is known as the Farr model, Farr then being the owner of Kermath Engines, and that's when engines were built on existing designs of industrial engines and automotive engines for economy purposes, and obviously they were aimed at smaller boats because smaller boats are much less expensive. Reverting back to the last engine we have, this is a rather late model engine. It came out in 1947 and it was used for sailboats and small fishing boat power. And the irony is, while this was the smallest Kermath available, at that time they had gone into their V12s, and they were building V12s of 550 and 580 horsepower in gas. As of World War II, Kermath also got very active in diesels, but they never really saw any use in any pleasure boats. One of the automotive examples is over here that is from the later 30s. This is a 1940 Kermath V12, but this again is an automotive block. This is built on the Ford Motor Company Lincoln Zephyr, and it was available with a direct or dual drive transmission. It was basically built as a 110 horsepower engine, but there was more horsepower there to be had. Scripps also built them. Capital Engine of St. Paul also built them, and these are all people really doing conversions more than building the engine from scratch. But Kermath built one of the best of them. So this is kind of a quick example of a half a dozen models where Kermath probably produced over 50 or 60 models during their time in business.